Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to discuss about one more late Mughal ruler and his name is Jahandhar Shah. Okay, so as you know that Aurangzeb died in 1707. After that he was succeeded by his son Bahadur Shah. Now we have another weak ruler, that is Jahandhar Shah. Okay, so Bahadur Shah died in 1712. Okay, so Bahadur Shah died in 1712 and he was succeeded by his son, that is Jahandhar Shah. Now Bahadur Shah did have many sons. Okay, now these were all princes. One of them was Jahandhar Shah. All of them fought and Jahandhar Shah became the victorious one. He assumed the title of Jahandhar Shah. He became the emperor. So he was the 8th Mughal emperor. Okay, so he was actually supported by a faction of Iranian nobles led by a guy called as Zulfikar. Okay, so this is something you have to know. This is something you have to understand. Let me just show you on my content. Okay, so as you can see, in 1712 Bahadur Shah died. Okay, he died in 1712, and then there was a war of succession, and the only ruler that came out successful, the only prince that came out successful was Bahadur Shah. Now, Bahadur Shah was supported by a faction of Iranian nobles. So there is something you have to know. So this is the king, and then we have here some nobles. So some of them were called Afghanis. Then we have Turanis. Then we have Hindustanis, and then there were Rajputs, and then there were Iranian nobles. So basically, there were many different kinds of nobles. Okay, some of them even Hindustan Muslims. Okay, Hindustani Muslims. So they had many different kinds of allies. Now, when a Mughal ruler died, the prince always used to seek the support of these nobles. Now, Bahadur Shah died, and his son Jahandhar Shah was helped by a faction of Iranian nobles. And this noble group, this nobility was led by a guy called as Zulfikar Khan. Okay, so this group was led by a guy called as Zulfikar Khan. Okay, a very important guy. So after he came to power, he executed many of the rulers, that is many of the princes, and Zulfikar Khan actually became the real ruler of the Mughal Empire. Jahandhar Shah was a weak ruler. Okay, as I mentioned before, actually all of the late Mughal rulers were weak and incompetent. So the power was run by the nobles, and in this case, it was run by a guy called as Zulfikar Khan. Okay, so Jahandhar Shah was a weak ruler, and the administration was controlled by Zulfikar Khan. Now, the important thing about these late Mughal rulers were, of course, they were weak. Okay, of course, they were weak, but they were actually very tolerant. They were very tolerant. So they allowed Hindus to build their temples. They actually removed jizya. Okay, so as I mentioned before, in our previous video lecture, we had seen that Bahadur Shah also had removed jizya. Okay, now under Zulfikar Khan, Jahandhar Shah also removed jizya. Okay, he also abolished jizya. Okay, now there are some important things about the contemporary rulers like the Marathas, Jats, and Sikh. So we are going to see in them in detail. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so as far as the Rajputs are concerned, during this time, the Rajput kings were, the most important kings were Ajit Singh as well as the Jai Singh. So Ajit Singh was of Marwar and Jai Singh was of Amber. So they were, because of their loyalties to the Mughal kingdom, they were actually assigned as governors in Gujarat and Malwa. This is not really important. Okay, now coming to the Marathas. Okay, so Marathas were really becoming the prominent force. Now, at this point, the Maratha rulers were Shahu. The Maratha king was Shahu. Okay, so this is something I have mentioned before in the previous video lecture. So, if you haven't seen the lecture on Bahadur Shah, please go and see. It's a very important lecture. Okay, so Shivaji was the first ruler of Maratha Empire. Okay, then he was succeeded by his son Shambhaji. Okay, brave Shambhaji. He was executed by Aurangzeb. After he was executed, Shahu became the king. Shahu was helped by a person called as Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath. So we will deal about the Peshwas and the Maratha kings later. So at this point, the Maratha kings were becoming really powerful. Okay, so at this point, the Mughal rulers just wanted to avoid the southern and the Deccan regions. So that is why they said to Marathas, okay, you can tax these areas, okay, so these areas you can tax, but at the same time you can't plunder any other areas in the Mughal kingdom. So this is the Mughal kingdom, okay, so this is Kashmir and this is India, this is Assam, this is Gujarat, this is okay. So basically here is our Maratha empire, Maratha kingdom, and this is whole is the Mughal empire. So the Bahadur Shah, Jahandhar Shah had a very tolerant policy. He asked the Marathas, okay, so you can tax all these regions, okay, all these regions, but you can't plunder them. And one more thing, the tax collection will be made by Mughal officials, and then it will be handed over to Marathas. Okay, so there is something else. Overall, the rule under Jahandhar Shah was very secular, very tolerant, but there was a when regard to the administration, especially the economy. So we had this problem of Irza. Okay, so there was this problem of Irza. So it is pronounced like Ijara, but some sources say as Irza. So Ijara. So basically, this is a type of tax where this is the land, okay, and the cultivators cultivate the land, okay, they cultivate the land. Now, this is the Mughal ruler, and he appoints a middleman. Okay, so the middleman actually takes the money from the cultivator, the farmer, okay, and he pays a fixed amount to the Mughal ruler. For example, the fixed amount is 100 rupees, okay. So the middleman has the choice to extract 1000 rupees from the farmer, but only give 100 rupees to the Mughal emperor. So that's how it worked. So that's the problem was Ijara system. So under Zulfikar, this actually eroded the economy. This actually eroded the agriculture base. So it was becoming a problem. Okay, so this is actually enough for exams like RRB, NTPC. Okay, so let's deal some MCQs. Okay. So Jahandhar Shah succeeded which Mughal emperor? We obviously know it was Bahadur Shah I. Okay, so the answer is D, Bahadur Shah I. So what is Ijara? So as I mentioned before, this is the land, and then we have the farmer, okay, and then we have the middleman, and then we have the Mughal emperor. Okay, so this is the Mughal emperor. So he has asked to give him 100 rupees every month or every year. So the middleman collects, let's say, 1000 rupees, but he definitely have to pay 100 rupees to the Mughal emperor. Okay, so that's the deal. So the problem is the middleman actually used to collect a lot of money from the farmers, which was actually detrimental to the whole agriculture economy. But overall, to the Mughal treasury, they were only getting 100 rupees. So that was the problem. Okay, so what is Ijara? Taxes on horses, that is wrong. Copper means minted during Jahandhar Shah region, that is wrong. Taxes on slave trade, that is wrong. Middlemen extract revenue from farmers and pay a fixed price to the government. This is actually right. Okay, so the correct answer is D. Which of the statement prove that Jahandhar Shah wanted cordial relations with neighboring rulers? So the Marathas were allowed to tax regions in Deccan, that is true. Jizya was abolished, that is true. The Rajputs and Jats were given high position in the government, that is actually true. So the correct answer is again D. Okay, so the correct answer is again D. Bahadur Shah region was brought to an end by, okay, so who ended Jahandhar Shah's region? So Jahandhar Shah was the father, that's not true. Shah Jahan III, that's not true. So the immediate successor was Farrukh Shiar. So the answer is Farrukh Shiar. So there is two more questions. Okay, the factions that supported Jahandhar Shah. So as I mentioned before, there were many factions, many nobles. Okay, one was the Iranian faction, the Afghanis, the Turanis, the Hindustani Muslims, the Rajputs. So there were many nobles. So out of these nobles, the nobility that supported Jahandhar Shah was the Iranian nobles led by Zulfikar Khan. So the answer is Iranian party, okay, Zulfikar Khan. Then we have the sixth question. During the reign of Jahandhar Shah, these events happened. So what was the event happened? Jizya was abolished, okay, that is true. Irani group rose to prominence. Yes, as I mentioned before, the Iranian nobility rose to power. So this is true. Todar Mal's land revenue system was abolished. Okay, so Todar Mal's land revenue system was started under Akbar. So it was removed by Zulfikar Khan and started this Ijara system. So this is actually true. Todar Mal's land revenue system was abolished. Okay. So the answer is all of the above. Okay, the answer is all of the above, that is D. Thank you.